right, we are starting a unit on rational expressions, and all that rational expressions are pretty much fractions. Today our focus is going to be on multiplying and dividing these things. So we're going to basically recall all the skills that we used to use for multiplying and dividing fractions. So first thing we should write down is, hey, right next to your kind of section header saying multiplying, you should absolutely write down this rule, multiplying straight across. This is a big rule that will guide our work when we are multiplying rational expressions. So if we follow this rule for this problem, and I'm going to break it down into longer steps than you really need, but we're multiplying straight across, so 5 is going to multiply with 3 times x, and 4 is going to multiply with 5. So if we do that, I'll rewrite this as one big fraction. We have 5 times 3x, and we have 4 times 5. Okay, that's going to give us 15x divided by 20. Now, however, we should simplify our fraction or rational expression so we get it in simplest form. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something called prime factorization, where I'm going to split everything out up top and start crossing things out. So I know that I can split 15x as 5 times 3 times x. I know that I can split the 20 apart as 2 times 2 times 5. And then what I'm looking for is to cross out these 5s. I can't cross out anything else, so I get 3x over 4 as my final answer. Now, what you might notice is you could earlier on cross out the 5s as you're setting up your problem too if you wanted. You'll notice that there is that 5 here and 5 here, and I basically just resplit them apart. But however you want to go through that process is okay with me. So let's try this on a new problem. Example 2, and if you're already feeling good about knocking this out yourself, please feel free to go ahead. We're going to multiply straight across, so we have 1 times 6, so 1 times 6 is 6, and on bottom we have 4x squared times 2x, which is 8x to the third. So now we need to go ahead and simplify our answer, so I'm just going to make a note that we're simplifying. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down this 6 into smaller numbers. So 2 times 3. And with my 8, I can go 2 times 2 times 2. And I'm going to break apart that x as well, times x times x times x, just to get in a good practice. We see what we can cancel it out. Anything that shows up on top and bottom, we can cancel out one set of 2's. And so I get 3 over 2 times 2 is 4. X to the third is my simplified answer. All right, still going, example 3. Now we have multiple variables in here. Notice how we have x and we have y in our equation. Still same principles apply, right? We're going to multiply straight across. And just like before, you guys keep the numbers separate and keep each variable separate. So we get 2 times 1 is just 2 up top. The x squared, there's no other x squareds to multiply. The y squareds, there's no other y to multiply, so we just leave that alone. On the bottom, we get 3 times 4, so that's 12 on bottom. We get x times x, which is x squared, and we get y on the bottom. So now we're going with that simplify step. And so if we want to spread everything out and expand it out, on top we would have 2 times x times x times y divided by, and on bottom I'm going to split this into 4 times 3, but also that works as 2 times 2 times 3 times x times y. And I can start canceling stuff out, right? There's a 2 up top, 2 on bottom. There's an x up top, x on bottom. Another x on top, another x on bottom, and a y on top, and a y on bottom. So what we're left with is just a y on top. So y divided by, and 2 times 3 on bottom is 6. All right, last one here. We have a little more complicated of a problem because we have this binomial term in our second fraction or second rational expression. The same rule of multiplying straight across is going to apply though. So what I like to do is I like to write in parentheses around this because I am going to have to distribute everything in, right? The 4x is going to have to multiply with the x, and the 4x is going to have to multiply with the 2. So if we write out our fraction, the bottom's easy. 2 times 8 on bottom is 16. But then we get 4x squared plus 8x on top. Now, this is one where it probably would have been easiest to start to cancel out some stuff ahead of time because rewriting in simplest form is pretty challenging here. If we look, we can divide out a 4 and an x. Just kind of, well, yeah, we can divide out a 4 from here, here, and here. So if we do that, we'll just be left with x squared plus 2x divided by 4. Divide out a 4. And if we do that on top and bottom, that is a very okay thing for us to do. Now, with dividing, so we're shifting our kind of example problems to this second part, dividing rational expressions. We're going to follow these rules here: keep, change, and flip. Because what needs to happen is the 1/2 gets divided by 3, but then what happens is we end up needing to multiply the 4 because it's on the bottom of a division problem. So that it gets carried out through this process called keep, change, flip. So I'm going to kind of use my keep as blue here. So if I rewrite this keep, change, flip, I'm going to keep the first thing. I'm going to change that division sign to multiplication. And then I'm going to flip my last expression. Notice how that 3/4 became 4/3 over here. Once I do that, and then I can just multiply straight across like I did before. So 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, and if we were to simplify that down, we would get 2/3 as our answer. So it's basically just keep, change, flip, and then multiply just like you did before. So let's try this with problem 6. We have some variables involved now. We're going to go through that keep, change, flip process. So let's set up that step. Keep, we're going to keep that first expression, 3x squared over 5. Change, we're going to change that division sign to multiplication. And flip, we're going to flip this last expression here, 4 divided by 2x to the third. And if we work that out, we get 12x squared up top divided by 10x to the third on the bottom. I'm going to go through that simplify step here, write this out. I know I have 2 times 6 times x up top divided by 2 times 5 times x times x times x. And I can start crossing some stuff out. The 2's cross out. I have a pair of x's I can cross, another pair of x's I can cross. And so our final answer here becomes 6 over 5x. All right, let's keep going with this. 2 more problems to get through. Example 7, keep, change, flip. I'm going to get rid of the color coding now so we can just work with this a little easier. We have 1 over 4x squared times 2x on top and 6 on bottom because that's our flip portion. Multiply straight across now, so we get 2x over 24x squared. Then I'm going to go ahead and try to simplify, so I go 2x I can split this 24 into 12 times 2, or 2 times 12. And I will just leave it as x times x, expand it out. Then I'm looking for pairs of things that I can cross out. I can cross out the 2's, can cross out the x. And so now, since we have nothing left up top, we can always assume that there is a 1 up there, right? Just times anything by 1, and we didn't change the problem. So our final answer will be 1 over 12x. And last example problem here, now we have a couple of different variables involved, the x squared, or the x and the y. So just like before, we want to kind of we want to treat each of those as their own. We're going to go through that keep, change, flip process. So 2x squared divided by 3xy times 4x over 1y squared. We'll run through that process. We get 2x squared times 4x. We'll do 8x to the third. 3xy times 1y squared, we'll have 3xy to the third. And if we expand everything out to try to simplify, I'll have 2 times 2 times 2 for my 8 times x times x times x. And on bottom, we'll have 3 times x times y times y times y. It looks like I can't cross out any numbers, so those will collapse back down. My x's will cancel out, and there's really nothing else to cancel there. So I can just write this as 8x squared over 3y to the third.